Jussie Smollett. Jussie Smollett is back in the news. We talked about this actually about a week ago. He's filed an appeal on his criminal conviction for the race hoax that he perpetrated in Chicago during the polar vortex, where he had two of his buddies attack him, two black guys. I mean, it's like, if you're going to try to pretend that you're the victim of a race hoax, at least hire white guys to do it. Yeah. He hired two black guys to attack him, pour bleach on him. They just so happen to have a rope on them that they now claim they put on his face, not around his neck, as he was later found wearing, because he really wanted the police to see where it was, around his neck. See, just like, years of old. So he's filed an appeal. He's claiming everything but the kitchen sink. He's claiming double jeopardy because he had originally struck a deal with a prosecutor who was biased, and instead they brought in a special prosecutor to go after him, and all sorts of things that are not going anywhere. But he doesn't want to have to serve that jail time. And Fox Nation, meantime, has taken another close look at the case, and they have gotten the two brothers who he hired to do the fake attack, which again, Jussie claimed to trial, they were real and that they were lying when they said it was a fake attack, to go on the record. Mbibola, they call him Bola, and Olabinjo, they call him Ola Osundario. The thing happened in January 2019. They helped this Empire actor stage his hate crime, and they testified against him, ultimately. They got 2 years probation and a small fine because they turned state's evidence on him, and he was sentenced to jail. Now, they give this interview to Fox Nation in which they go back to the crime scene, the alleged scene of the crime, 2 a.m. by a subway station, Subway the Sandwich, in the middle of the night in Chicago, freezing cold winter, and show us how it went down. Look at this.
He was not there, so we were like, damn, what do? We didn't have no way of contacting him. He had no way of contacting us. So we waited here for about, 4 minutes?
It was about 4 minutes, but it felt like forever.
Because it was cold as balls. He turned around, looked at us. That's when we started yelling the famous slurs he wanted us to yell. It's MAGA country. Yeah. And then he said, what did you say to me? And then that's when I threw the first punch at him. I held the blow because I didn't want to hurt him, of course. So I made it look real, but I held it. Then we started tussling, moving around, and then I threw him to the ground. He wanted it to look like he fought back. I used my knuckle and gave him a noogie, so I went like this. Why did I do that? To give him a scar, to give him a mark, to make it look real, like he really did get his ass beat. After I did that, I fake kicked him. I don't know what he was doing. I wasn't paying attention.
That's where I came around with the bleach, the infamous bleach in the hot sauce bottle, poured it on his shirt. Then I finally put the rope around his face. I did not put it around his neck. I just placed it on his face, and that's when we took off.
Is that not the greatest thing you've ever seen?
That's the best recreation in the history of television.
Whoever the producer of that is, I want you to email me because I want to nominate you for an Emmy, because getting them to do that was the best idea I've ever seen. Totally like, no, there's nobody there. There's no, just go and do the fight scene by yourselves across the street. We'll shoot it from across the street, which is an amazing thing. And then the best quote, and they keeps on saying the famous bleach, the famous things we said. The new famous line is, "It was cold as balls," which is...
Holy cow.
Good Lord.
I love these guys.
Better actors than Jussie Smollett, by the way.
Yes.
I have to say.
Right. Jussie Smollett, who was the actor who wanted attention on Empire. And what they said was he wanted to make it look like, they go on to say, he wanted to make it look like he fought back. That was very important for him. This whole thing was about his image. Here he was, I don't know which soundbite this is that we have, but here he was not long ago talking about him being innocent. Oh, and he's not suicidal either.
I am not suicidal. I am innocent, and I am not suicidal. If I did this, then it means that I stuck my fist in the fears of Black Americans in this country for over 400 years and the fears of the LGBTQ community. Your Honor, I respect you and I respect the jury, but I did not do this, and I am not suicidal. And if anything happens to me when I go in there, I did not do it to myself, and you must all know that. I respect you, Your Honor. I respect your decision. Jail time. I am not suicidal. I am not suicidal.
Stop laughing about black.
I am not suicidal, and I am innocent. I could have said that I was guilty a long time ago.
What?
He's got the Black Power fist going too.
What
Isn't
a
it
nutcase.
wonderful? He's such a liar.
He's literally doing a Black Power salute on the way out, screaming, "I'm not suicidal." Not, "I'm innocent," by the way. I'm not. He did say that at one point, but the thing he's repeating over and over is, "I'm not suicidal," because he's also a crazy conspiracy theorist that he might get killed in jail, but it's going to make to be look like a Jeffrey Epstein suicide. It's like, dude, no one cares about you. No one knew about you before, and no one knew what empire was. Sorry. Maybe other people did, but
I don't know. I think it's a bit of an own goal, as they say, to compare yourself to Jeffrey Epstein. Just to, the whole public sympathy kind of thing. It's not.
Well, he got off for a little bit, so you know.
So he was sentenced to 150 days in prison, and still hasn't had to serve them. He filed it. He wanted to be out on appeal and so on. But I don't know whether he's ever actually going to have to serve this. But it's so funny to see. You know, you remember we deconstructed the Robin Roberts interview of Jussie. She was totally sympathetic, not even a hint of skepticism. I mean, I like Robin Roberts, but that was an embarrassment of an interview and just wasn't doing her job at all. And it's a continuation, frankly, of our first hour theme, which is, where is the skepticism amongst the media, amongst the general public, when allegations are made that tap into certain narratives, right? Women are oftentimes the victims of sexual assaults on college campuses and elsewhere. It's an epidemic that we're having to deal with. Black people in modern day America do randomly get attacked with nooses and bleach and people shouting, "This is MAGA country" in deep Chicago during the polar vortex. And those stories too should be covered without doubt. Otherwise, you're showing your bigotry. And even now, we're trying to pretend that like we have to cover his appeal like it's a real thing, like he's got a real. When you've got these two brothers, who could you find a more credible witness? Tell people what actually went down.
Two muscle-bound Nigerian guys.
They say go get a reverse mortgage. I'm in it.
Oh my God! Whatever pills they want to sell me, I'm buying them. But I love it. The first bit of skepticism should have been like, "This is MAGA country." No, it's not. It's downtown Chicago. You dummies. But the greatest thing about this is go and find it. I saw this the other day. The original tweet from the New York Times that was no skepticism. There was no alleged. It was like Jussie Smollett, actor from Empire, attacked by MAGA lunatics. And it reminded me that right after Donald Trump was elected, this was a supply and demand problem, of course. The demand for stories about a rise in hate greatly outstripped the supply. So there was a whole bunch of these attacks that were fake. And there were other ones that were not proven to be fake, but were clearly fake. And one of the things I thought was funny, right down the street from where I was in Brooklyn at the time, there was a park that I think was named after Adam Yauch, one of the Beastie Boys who passed away. And there were swastikas drawn on it, like the day after. And it was really interesting because these Nazis didn't know which way the swastikas went. They had them backwards. And I was like, that's the first bit of skepticism. And it reminded me of Dave Chappelle's bit about this, which is one of the funniest things I've ever heard, when he's like, we knew he was lying immediately. And I watched for days, weeks of people reporting credulously. I once sent Matt and Camille this thing from NPR that was a half an hour in which no skepticism was ever evinced on this case at all, and people just saying that this happens all the time, and this is just life in Trump's America. Again, it's the narrative. They wanted to prove it, and so therefore you have to suspend all disbelief. All these things that are clearly fake about it, you have to push to the side because the narrative is more important.
We have an ongoing.
And that was pre-George Floyd. That was pre-George Floyd. Think of how it's gone even worse in this direction post-George Floyd. Go ahead, man.
Yeah.
We have an ongoing text thread between the three of us on the Fifth Column podcast, and as we did at the time with this specific case. I think for us the equivalent to the Moynihan understanding that the bottle of beer doesn't break on the person's forehead knowledge was that we had a pretty good indication, just intuition, that famous-ish actor is not going to go foraging for Subway sandwiches at 2:00 in the morning during a polar vortex in Chicago. That didn't seem like a likely thing that was going to be happening anytime soon. What I think this demonstrates is that the people who claim to believe, and maybe they do believe to some degree, that we live amidst systemic racism. People who use the word white supremacy, not to talk about people in hoods, but to talk about the overall structure that is like fundamentally unfair. The people who say that somehow in their hearts, or at least many of the people who will nod their heads at that time, don't believe it because it's not enough, right? That's an argument. It's an argument that I disagree with, and I think, or it's certainly a line of analysis that Therefore, if you're going to take it to its logical extreme, you're going to say, okay, so minimum wage is systematically racist. For example, there's a lot of different. The gun control is systematically racist. They don't tend to go full hog with that kind of thing. But the reason why you have so many hoaxes is exactly because that supply and demand problem. You need to have splashy indication, splashy news events to show that, see, this is just simmering right there below the surface, ready to be activated at any given time.
Are you tired of feeling like your personal data is at risk? Or you're worried that big tech is watching every move you make? If you don't want anyone else knowing where you've been, who you've met, and what you're thinking, StartMail is the perfect solution for protecting your privacy and for giving you peace of mind. StartMail is used by thousands of people around the world who believe that privacy is a fundamental human right worth fighting for. With over 330 billion emails sent daily, email has become essential, but sending one can be unsafe. It's like sending a postcard. Anyone who helps deliver it can read your message or make a copy of it. Big tech email providers can scan, analyze, and save details of every single email you send and receive, even after you delete it. They create profiles of your personal life, and then they sell those profiles to advertisers. This opens you up to intrusive ads, identity theft, spam, and phishing attacks. Say goodbye to ads and tracking. StartMail will never serve you ads and protects your inbox with state-of-the-art security. Sign up today to save 50% on your first subscription year. Go to startmail.com/MK and join the thousands of people who have chosen StartMail for all their email security needs. That's StartMail, start with a T, startmail.com/MK for 50% off. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.